Hey guys, it's Mike here again with Viper Paranormal, and today we're going to try to explain the legend of the haunted railroad tracks in San Antonio, Texas. Plus, I'm going to show you the correct way to use flour on an investigation. I know that sounds funny, but there is a right and a wrong way to do this. Okay guys, I'm going to go ahead and give you the short version of the San Antonio railroad tracks legend. A long time ago, there was a school bus of children traveling, and they approached the railroad tracks in San Antonio. Well, the school bus stalled, and the bus driver was unable to get the bus moving before a speeding train crashed into the bus, killing everyone on board. Now, as the legend goes, if you pull up to the railroad tracks and you put your car in neutral, an unseen force will guide your vehicle across the railroad tracks, and if you put baby powder on the back of the trunk, when you get to the other side, you will see fingerprints and handprints of whomever supposedly pushed you over the tracks. Now, while this may be a great story, there are a couple problems with it. The first problem is it's just a story. There are no known documentations or reports of a school bus crash ever happening at this railroad. Now, while it may look like the tracks are on a flat surface or possibly even sloping upward, the fact is that that particular stretch of road is actually sloping downward towards the tracks. So if you put your car on there and you put it in neutral, your car is going to roll. Cars roll down hills. This is a fact. Number 3, phantom fingerprints and handprints on the trunk of your vehicle. Let's put ourselves in this situation. Let's say we go to bed one night, wake up the next morning to find that our vehicle's been broken into and our valuables have been taken. So what do? You call the police, they come out, they do a report, and sometimes, if you're lucky, they'll dust for fingerprints. What they're actually doing is taking a powdery substance, they're putting it over tops of parts of the car where they believe could have possibly been touched by whoever broke into your car, and then they use a sticky tape to remove these fingerprints. Well, it's the same concept. Let's say you're at these railroad tracks and you sprinkle baby powder on the trunk of your car, and someone has indeed touched the trunk of your car since the last time you washed it. As you're going across the tracks, you're going to feel a bump, 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 and what this is doing is actually jarring the baby powder on the back of the car, and it's causing it to separate and slide. So when you get on the other side of the railroad tracks and look down, you're going to see those phantom fingerprints, which are probably yours. Now, I'm not saying this is what's happening every time, but it is something to think about. For the next part of the video, I'm going to show you the proper way to use flour or baby powder on an investigation. Now, there aren't a whole lot of instances where you would use the flour or baby powder technique, but there are some. Here's one of those instances. Let's say some of your claims at your investigation are objects on the kitchen table sliding across the table. This will be a good time to break this method out. Here's what you're going to need. You're going to need some flour and a sifter if you're using flour, or baby powder, or talc powder. Any of these will work just fine. I recommend the flour. You're going to need a wet rag, paper towel, and you're going to need a dry one. And here's what you want to do. First off, you don't want to do this anywhere where it's going to make a mess and it's going to be hard to clean up, because when we go in, we respect our clients and we respect their belongings, so we want to keep everything as neat as we can. But what you're going to do is you're going to take your wet rag and you're going to completely wipe the surface. So any fingerprints or any other things on here will be wiped away. You're going to take your dry towel and you're going to wipe this off. And here's what we're going to do next. Make sure that's good and dry, because if it's wet, then the flour is obviously going to stick to it, and this is not what we want. Okay, then we're going to take the flour, take our sifter, we're going to pour a little flour in the sifter, and we're going to make us a nice little spot here. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, what are we going to do with this? Well, we're going to set up a trap. We're going to take this can here, we're going to use this, and we're going to set it. Now when you put this on here, be very, very careful that you're not sliding things around. And you set it down just like that. Now you can leave a camera on it if you like. If not, you can just leave it alone and continue your investigation. Just make sure nobody's going in there, and make sure nobody's disturbing it. And what we're actually looking for is to see if this thing has actually moved. And how are we going to know if it moved? Well, we're going to look at the baby powder. if you look at the baby powder and it's just like you left it, then it's obvious this hasn't moved at all. But if it moves just the slightest bit, you're going to see the marks in the baby powder. I'll give you a closer look. Okay guys, we're taking a closer look, and if you look closely you can see indeed that there are tracks in the flour, so therefore you know something has moved whatever item you happen to set on top of it. Okay, now here's another pretty cool thing you can do. Now I'm not going to demonstrate this because I don't want to mess my house up, but if there have been claims of people hearing footsteps in the room upstairs, and you go up there and the floor is not carpeted, if it's a nice smooth surface, you can also sprinkle your powder or your flour out to see if you've picked up any phantom footprints. After your investigation is complete, make sure you always go back and clean up your mess. Because if you leave a mess, the clients are going to remember that, and you don't want your paranormal group to have a bad reputation. Well, there you have it. A possible explanation for the haunted railroad tracks in San Antonio, Texas, plus the proper way to use flour on an investigation. I want to thank you for watching our videos. Don't forget to check out our website, www.viperparanormal.com. Please comment, rate, and don't forget to subscribe.